I'm looking around the room and I see a little glint from some of you who are wearing glasses. How many of you, just by show of hands, wear glasses or contacts or some other sort of visual assist? Well, quite a few of you. Good for you. You're at an advantage today, particularly because we're reading the story of blind Bartimaeus. And I'll tell you what I mean, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself just yet, because I was thinking how much glasses have been a bit of a burden for me, and I suspect for a lot of you who wear glasses throughout your lifetime. When I was 6, I couldn't wait for glasses. You see, I know it's a little strange, but my older brother David had glasses. My oldest brother Stephen had glasses. My father wore glasses. And I just didn't think I was a Giuliano man until I had glasses. So at 6 years of age, 6 or 7, I was diagnosed with a little bit of visual impairment and needed glasses. I was thrilled. I know my parents weren't because they had to pay for them, but I was glad to have glasses, and they were nerdy, let me tell you. In fact, they looked a little bit like these ones right here, but you may remember them from back in the 60s. They were really thick arms, black rim, really thick black rim, and they were glass lenses. This is before the days when we had plastic high-index lenses, and because they were heavy, they were always sliding down your nose. Do you remember either walking around looking kind of nerdy and always pushing your glasses up with your finger? I see a lot of nods. You all been there. But I was so proud. Even though I didn't know I looked nerdy, but I just felt like I was now a man. In fact, I was looking through some photos of a scrapbook of mine a few weeks ago, and I saw some photos of me when I was 6 or 7 and had just got my glasses. And every photo, I'm all puffed up, you know. I got my glasses. And I'm thinking, boy, what a nerd that kid was, you know. What a geek. It wasn't until a month or two later that I realized that glasses were going to be a problem for me. And you probably had the same problems. The first thing you get is you get called names, right? Hey, 4 eyes. Oh, boy, I didn't know what they were talking. I thought I was at an advantage. 4 is better than 2, isn't it? Well, not so much when you start playing football or some rough sport on the playground and you break your glasses. Or heaven forbid you lose them and you had to come home and explain to your parents that you lost your glasses. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can remember my parents, you're going to drive us into the poorhouse. You keep losing your glasses. And rather than replace them, did you ever have folks who do this? Rather than replace your glasses, because Dad's insurance would only cover 1 pair a year, you had to put the Scotch tape around the middle of your glasses. I mean, if you weren't nerd enough already, and now you got a big gob of Scotch tape in the middle of your forehead, you know. It's pretty rough. Or do you remember this? The little screw would fall out of the arm, and so you'd have a little safety pin walking around. I mean, boy, we had it tough wearing glasses. But let me tell you, when we come across passages like blind Bartimaeus, this is your time, glasses wearers. This is your time to shine. I think you get it more than perhaps most. And let me tell you what I mean. And this is how Bartimaeus understood faith. And this is how I often explain to people who Jesus was and what faith is all about. People will say, hey, Mark, Jesus, was he God? Was he Son of God? Was he the Messiah? What was Jesus? And I say, well, look, you have to understand that Jesus was the embodiment, the incarnate of God. He embodied God. And then I can see the glazed look on people's faces, and I realize that's going nowhere. So let me try this way, and I'm going to try it with you right now. If you are wearing glasses, I'd like to invite you to take them off. If you're not, I'm sorry, you're one of the disadvantaged. Just use your imagination. When you take your glasses off, if you're like me, the world is a blur. Everything's fuzzy. I cannot see details on people's faces. I can hardly make out that you're people there, but I know you are because I can hear you breathing. And I can kind of make out some yellow color over here, which I know is the choir's, whatever you call that thing, the sash on their robe. But other than that, everything is pretty blurry. Now, when you put your glasses on, and you can put your glasses on again, oh, it's you guys. The world becomes focused for us, doesn't it? Everything becomes clear to us. Well, what I tell people is that Jesus was the lens. Jesus was the lens through which the world it becomes clear for us. When we look at the world through the lens of Jesus Christ, everything that was fuzzy and confusing to us becomes clear. Actually, for some of us, crystal clear. Everything becomes sharp. And not only that, God becomes clear for us. We see God in a brand new way. We begin seeing the world, not with our visual sight, we begin seeing the world with faith. It's our sixth sense, our faith. It helps us perceive the world not only as it is, but how it could be with hope. It helps us perceive God in a very clear and personal way. What's this have to do with blind Bartimaeus? That's the way Bartimaeus saw the world. That's the way Bartimaeus saw Jesus. That's the way Bartimaeus perceived God. Now, all week getting ready to preach this sermon, I've been going through the commentaries and I've been doing exegetical work, really trying to learn as much as I can about Bartimaeus and Jericho and all the what was going on at the time. And so many of the commentaries I read want to portray Bartimaeus as a victim. Poor Bartimaeus. Poor blind Bartimaeus. Poor Bartimaeus the beggar who had nothing but his tunic, the blanket he sat on and begged and had to rely on the kindness of strangers. But the more I wrestled with the text, the more I wrestled with the Scriptures, I realized Bartimaeus is not poor Bartimaeus. Bartimaeus is empowered. Bartimaeus sees the world in a way that very few others in his day and age perceived the world. Bartimaeus saw the world through the lens of faith. Bartimaeus saw it clearly. He knew who Jesus was. He knew what he needed, and he knew who to ask for what he needed.